This edition of Mac Voices is sponsored by Rogue Amoeba, makers of Fission, the streamlined audio editor for Mac OS X. Audio editing doesn't have to be a chore. If you need to crop or trim audio, join multiple files, or split one long file into many, Fission will get you set quickly. Plus, Fission works without the quality loss caused by other audio editors, so you can get perfect quality even when editing MP3s and AAC files. And if you need to convert audio, Fission can do that too, working with all popular audio formats. Interested? Get Fission for 20% off with coupon code MacVoices13. Don't delay. Download the free trial from rogueamoeba.com right now, then purchase online. Thanks to Rogue Amoeba for sponsoring this edition of Mac Voices. Hi, I'm Chuck Joyner, and this is Mac Voices at Macworld iWorld 2013 in San Francisco. We caught up with Mr. Paul Kafasis after a successful session he did yesterday. Paul, it's great to see you.
Good to see you.
So, Paul, first of all, thank you so much. Rogue Amoeba is helping sponsor us at the show, and we really, really appreciate it as always. This has become a regular thing. You usually are kind enough to sponsor us when you're not exhibiting.
Yeah. It's it's good to get the exposure out there, even if we're not here for the show. We've exhibited every other year. It's expensive to do, and it's nice to be able to get a little bit of exposure even in our off years.
Well, we really appreciate it. So, what's new with Rogue Amoeba? I keep seeing, incremental updates come out to the products, but they seem to be more than incremental. You keep adding features.
Well, that's what we tend to do. It's usually there's new software, new versions of the software, but there's also, just as you said, an incremental update that has some features. Probably the biggest thing is Fission 2, which came out, I guess, about 4 months ago, back in September. And then we've had Fission 2.1 since then, which already had some new features to it. So yeah, I think just keeping on with our existing products. We don't have any new products, brand new products in the recent past.
But Fission, I have to say, when I first tried it, it was a nice audio editor, but it was missing some features. You've added those back and a whole lot more. It feels like now it's kind of a go-to tool.
Excellent, glad to hear it. Yeah, when it first came out, it was designed to be as simple as possible, and making that meant having a lack of features as opposed to having too many features. And for version 2, we said, all right, what are the most requested features? And that was things like exporting audio to different formats. So exporting to MP3, exporting to AAC, exporting across formats, doing batch conversion. So if you throw 20 files at it and say, convert this from an AIFF file to an MP3, we'll do that, with one click. So it's something where, it was originally very simple, and now it's hopefully just as easy to use, but has a little more in the way of features. Yeah,
I know. Again, when it first came out, I loved it. It just didn't do what I needed to do. Now it does more than I needed to do. So that's great. How about Audio Hijack Pro? That just is kind of rolling along, being what it is.
Yeah, we've got a version in development that has been over a year in development. I'm hopeful that will come out sometime maybe mid-2013. So that's certainly something where that's one of our most popular applications, and we continue to update it incrementally, as you said, but we have a major new version that's in the works. Don't really have much more to say about that yet, but I'm hopeful we'll get that out in the mid-future, near to midterm.
So you'll be back to talk about that, because that intrigues me. If there's a new major version, that's great. Paul, you've always been a very candid commentator on the Mac app world, the developer world. Any trends, anything you're seeing that's interesting right now? Now we're well into the era of the Mac App Store and all that, and I know there were issues pro and con with you for that for a while.
Well, especially for the iOS App Store, really, but the Mac App Store is what, 2 years old or 3 years old at this point? I think 3 years old. And yeah, as you said, we're into the era of that, and it's entrenched. But I think actually it's interesting to see that there hasn't been a whole lot of change in terms of Mac app development. Definitely people are using the Mac App Store, but we have not seen a drop in sales as people said, oh, I only want to shop in the Mac App Store. And that was definitely a concern that we had, was that people would say, you need to get your stuff in the store because that's the only place I'm buying software. Certainly we've gotten emails to that effect from a few people. And if you get an iTunes gift card, you want to be able to use that on anything you like. But our software doesn't fit in the App Store for a number of the restrictions that Apple has, and people still want that software, so we're still doing all right there, and that's it's the trend of no change as opposed to a massive upheaval. So it's been interesting to see that it's an important change for a lot of people, but it's not affecting us in a negative way that we were sort of concerned it might.
That's good to hear, and I think you're right. I think there's definitely a convenience level to the Mac App Store, but there are also issues with the fact that I can't have the apps that I want.
Right.
And I'm willing to go get them, especially when I know the reputation of Rogue Amoeba and some other key developers.
Right, absolutely. There's bigger names that just don't have their stuff in the store for, again, the reasons that they have restrictions that prevent it. And if you know the name, or if you hear the name and you know that they're reputable, then you'll still be able to go out and get that. And I think it works pretty well. Whereas on the iOS platform, you're sort of stuck with only what Apple will allow. On the Mac side, you've got a little more freedom.
What would you like to see change? Other than the sandboxing issues, which that may be something that's not going to go away soon. Anything in the distribution area from Apple that you would like to see change that would make it more appealing, or maybe even just better overall for the community?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I think the biggest thing is some types of two things: some type of trials and some type of upgrades. Because right now, the system is not built to allow for upgrades. So if you charge a decent price, $30, $40 for a piece of software, and you want to have a version 2, for years, for decades, we've said, okay, that's a $10 or $20 upgrade. If you've purchased the first version, you're going to get a discounted upgrade. And it's a great system. It's worked very well. And in the App Store, you just can't do it right now. So you either need to create a whole new version and just charge that same $40 and everybody pays it. You put it on sale for a brief period of time, but there's no clean way of saying you had version 1, come get version 2 at a discount, and still charging new users the normal price. So I think upgrades is a big one, and then trials is something where if a piece of software is $40 and all you can get are 5 screenshots and a paragraph of marketing text, that's a tough sell. If it's $40 and you can get a trial for 7 or 14 days and you can see that it actually does what it says it does and it's going to work for you, then it's a lot easier to justify paying $40 for something.
Yeah, that's a good point. In fact, we've talked to a couple of developers about the upgrade issue. They have new versions of something coming out, and they're still struggling with how they're going to do it and what the easiest way is. I wish I had an intelligent answer, but until the App Store does, there isn't one yet. Yeah. I guess we wait until we see the new version of Audio Hijack Pro. Anything else exciting at Rogue Amoeba other than the everyday excitement?
Yeah, I mean, we're always excited with our products, but yeah, nothing to announce or anything like that. As I said, we're not exhibiting here. I just came out here to do things like this and to take in the show and see how it is. So we don't have anything specific to be announcing.
Before we go, tell us about the session you did yesterday.
It was actually Thursday. We did a trivia session. My friend Dan Morin and I. Dan Morin is an editor at Macworld, and he and I decided to run a trivia event. So we had some good turnout from a whole lot of Apple nerds, and so Dan and I are both Apple nerds and trivia nerds. So we put on a session. We had some great prizes from vendors here at the show that I looked over the list and I said, oh, I love that. We had the Holoclip guys donated some Holoclips, and the Cosmonaut stylus that Studio Neat makes, and so we had some great prizes and people showed up. We did an hour-long trivia session and people had a blast.
That's great. That's great. Paul, it's always good to see you. Thanks so much again for the sponsorship, and we will have you back definitely later in the year when Audio Hijack Pro is ready to go.
Excellent. I look forward to it.
Thanks. Folks, we'll have more from San Francisco and Macworld iWorld 2013. I'm Chuck Joyner. This is Mac Voices. MacVoicesTV is part of the MacVoices Group at MacVoicesGroup.com. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at BackbeatMedia.com.